Hey, what is up, everyone? This is Ete with another episode of The Company Next Door. I am still in Deland, Florida here, and it's a little warmer today, but I'm happy to be here. I got my Florida shirt on that my wife gave me, so it's a little different from my normal style. And I'm here today with Chelsea from Bodhi and Soul. Chelsea, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for letting me come and taking some time. I know you're busy, so thanks for doing this for me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming here.
Awesome. Did I say the name of the company right? Bodhi and Soul?
It's close. It's actually Bodhi and Sol.
Okay, and I figured that
Yeah.
because it's Bodhi, which can you explain a little bit about that? Why that matters into what you do?
Yeah. So it is kind of a play on words with body and soul because we are a spa and wellness center. We do yoga, spa services. But Bodhi is like the Bodhi tree, which is the tree of life. Right. So it's all about encompassing wellness for people and helping people feel well and whole. And then soul is spelled SOL, like the sun, life-giving.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's a great play on words.
Thanks.
And tell me a little bit about, so the wellness, the holistic, what does this fall under? What would you say? I mean, is it a spa? Is it a holistic spa? Is it a wellness? What do you call this?
I mean, I would probably categorize it as a holistic wellness center.
Holistic wellness center. Okay.
Yeah. We do have spa services. So we do, therapeutic massage. We
Sure.
do organic facials. But because we also have group classes, like yoga classes and workshops, for me, it kind of encompasses a little bit more than a spa and just pampering people. It's also about, kind of wellness as a whole.
Gotcha. So there's the wellness, there's the holistic. Okay, that makes sense. And then there's the spa.
Yeah.
So three kind of main ingredients. And you're not from Deland, so you've only been here just a few years?
Yeah. So when did I move to Deland? Yeah, a couple years ago.
Okay.
I actually was living in Palm Coast, which is close to St. Augustine, where I had another location. And I lived there for probably 5 years. But when we decided to open this DeLand location, my husband and I, that was kind of our excuse to move to DeLand because it's such a great
It's pretty
little
awesome.
town.
Yeah. It's the coolest town no one's ever heard of.
Yeah,
At least
exactly.
I hadn't. I've never heard of this town, and
No.
being here for a few weeks. It's been like, wow, this is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, we didn't know about it until some friends of ours moved here, and they were like, "Oh, you guys got to come check out DeLand," and we were kind of like, we're kind of close to the beach right now, but Central Florida, like I don't know." So we came and hung out and immediately fell in love with it and found an excuse to
get
move here.
Yeah. So you're originally from Indiana.
Yeah.
Which is nowhere near either the East or the West Coast.
Right.
And you also, I know you love musical theater, and you studied that.
Yeah.
So we're here, and it's a holistic wellness spa. So I need to bridge that gap a little bit. Tell me, what was it like growing up in Indiana, and how did you find your way? Well, no, tell me about growing up in Indiana and the music side of things.
Yeah. So I was always really passionate about musical theater from a really young age. I was always in dance classes. I was always singing. I was kind of a terrible 2-year-old and would scream constantly, which is why I think I can sing now.
Well, that's good because I have a 2-year-old right now,
Invincible
and she
lungs.
screams. So maybe that's part of it.
Maybe she'll be a singer.
I
You
hope
never
so.
know.
I hope so.
But no, my dad was an entrepreneur growing up, so I kind of had him as a role model.
And what was he doing? What kind of
Oh
projects?
gosh, all kinds of things. But the last thing that he was involved in was a nursery. He owned like a plant nursery.
That's awesome. Yeah, trees or shrubs or.
Flowers, trees, shrubs, all of the above.
Awesome.
And he would do landscaping.
Oh, cool.
Design.
Awesome.
But I mean, he's done all kinds of different entrepreneurial work. So, but I never pictured myself as an entrepreneur. I always really pictured myself in the musical theater world.
Interesting.
Which is why I went to college for musical theater. That's what took me to New York. But then while I was in New York, I had to get a day job at one point, of course, because when you're trying to be an actor in New York, that's what you have to do.
You gotta pay the bills.
Yeah. And I really hated that job. It's terrible. And
What was it?
I was working at a property management company
Okay.
in the city, and it was brutal. It was just really cutthroat, and the people who were my bosses weren't always the kindest, warmest people. And, I was someone who grew up in the Midwest, and
Yeah.
it was just normal for me for people to just be first kind to one another.
Yeah. Yeah, coming from Indiana. So was that a big shock for you going to New York? I mean, it's so crazy over there.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It was, I moved there right out of college, so I adapted really quickly to that life. I mean, that was the first experience that I had kind of on my own as an adult out of college. My roommates were college friends, so it was a little bit shocking, but I do feel like I adapted pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, totally dumb question, but do you watch Parks and Rec?
I've seen it, but
Okay.
I'm not.
It's supposed to be based out of Indiana.
It is.
Okay, like, I don't know. It's the
Yeah.
funniest show.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you had ever been to that town, but I know it's made up, but I'm sure it's based on a real town.
Oh, yeah. I think it is, actually. I forget what town it's based off, but
That's
yeah.
funny. So your dad, so he's an entrepreneur. So did you have a lot of siblings? And what was your mom doing?
Yeah, so my mom was a teacher growing up, and then later on, she was working for the school administration.
Okay.
So she was always kind of in that academic world. I have one sister. She's 2 years older than I am.
Okay.
And funny enough, she actually has her MBA, which I do not, and I became a business owner before she did. But she has a really cool life now too. She actually owns a hostel in Colorado,
That is cool.
and I mean, this has been a really hard time for them
Sure,
too.
yeah.
They just kind of got everything renovated and going before COVID happened, but she kind of has that,
Yeah.
business
That
brain.
entrepreneurial spirit
Yeah,
that you guys
absolutely.
inherited from your father.
Yeah, right.
So let me ask you this. Was your dad kind of, was he kind of like all over the place? Like every time you had a new idea, 100 miles an hour, your mom was like a teacher, like, slow down, honey, like things got to be thought out, laid out? Or was it, what was the dynamic like
Yeah,
between them? Those
my
two?
dad was definitely that entrepreneurial, like zoom, 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 zoom,
Yeah,
zoom.
yeah.
I have a new idea, new idea. He actually had a really great business partner who kind of grounded him.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
I think my mom grounded him too, but she was also kind of that rock that was sort of like, well, what's the next thing?
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah,
are we
yeah.
doing now?
Yeah.
Just kind of that baseline. But he did have a really great business partner named Steve, who they had worked together previously, and then became business partners because they worked so well together. But they really balanced each other out, and he would kind of force my dad to take a step back
Sure.
when
No,
he
I
needed to.
get it.
Let's focus on
Yeah.
what we've got going right now, and like hold off on the new ideas for a moment. Yeah.
And we all need that. Are you that way? And do you have someone to kind of ground you?
Yeah, so I did. So my business partner and I are kind of in the process of parting ways.
Okay.
And that's because she moved last November. So not 2020, but 2019.
Pre-COVID. Okay.
Yeah, she moved to be closer to family. She was pregnant at the time, and she and her family moved to Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
So it's just been kind of a progression of things. But when we first became partners, she owned our location in St. Augustine, and she hired me on. And we, similar to my dad and his business partner, we clicked right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very much the right brain. We would always joke and say that, together we make a whole brain, because
Yeah.
I'm the right brain,
Yeah.
she's the left
Yeah,
brain.
yeah, yeah. And it comes together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay. Well, let me ask you this: you're dissolving the partnership, moving, family reasons. I get it, 100%, and that
Yeah.
happens a lot in business. There's always people coming in and leaving. How has it been complicated for you? Has it been a hard process, or how's that been?
Yeah, it's actually been a really hard process, but I don't think it would have been as hard had it not been for COVID.
Okay.
Because the reason why we had to close our first, like our baby,
Yeah.
our first location together, was because of COVID.
Right.
And so that made the process heartbreaking. So it's been hard, but it's been a huge learning process, because
Sure.
I am now having to learn a lot of that left brain
Everything
stuff.
she was doing.
Yeah.
What about emotionally? Is it, I guess I'm just thinking of people out there that might be going through a similar thing or thinking about going through a thing. Is there an emotional thing that happens when you split up with a partner? I mean, a lot of people say get into business like getting into a marriage.
Yeah.
So there's just this relationship and distrust. What's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, it really is like a marriage. And it's bittersweet.
Okay.
It really is. Because we're kind of at a place now where we know that that needs to happen. That's what
Yeah.
happens. But we're friends. You know, we can still have conversations. It's not like there's bad blood between us
Sure.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard horror stories about partnerships that really go sour. And that has got to be really, really difficult. I feel lucky in that that didn't really happen for us. It's
Okay.
just, you know, like when two partners realize, or, you know, in a marriage, you realize, well, this just isn't really working for us anymore. And
Right, you gotta make a
things
change.
have changed and we just have to keep moving on. And, and it's hard,
Yeah.
but it's bittersweet when you know that it's for the best.
What are some of the things that you're now learning that you didn't, that left side things that you were talking about, that you're kind of having to go, okay, well, she's not there. It's just me. So I got to do this, this, and this. Give us an idea.
Honestly, the biggest things are just learning the accounting side and QuickBooks.
I hate that. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's awful. I had a friend who is actually an accountant come in on Saturday, this last Saturday, to walk me through it. I mean, I've never really done a whole lot in QuickBooks. And so she came in and kind of was going through everything with me, and it's daunting. And I was exhausted. I'm like, I'm so not used to using that part of myself for so many hours, or just, you know, the other day I was having to sit there and look at like 6 spreadsheets all at the same time. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't even know what I did now. Like, I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore.
Yeah, yeah. You were just so deep into it. You just lost. Yeah, what am I doing?
And I called my business partner. I mean, technically we're still partners. And I said, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at 6 spreadsheets. And she was like, okay, you need to walk away. This is the point. She's like, I totally know where you're at.
Yeah.
Just, you got to walk away. Give yourself like a 20-minute break. I'm like, okay, I hate this.
It's hard. It's funny you said that. I'm actually, I've been in business for a long time, but just now realizing that I'm terrible with, like you said, the same thing, QuickBooks, accounting, all that. I've just done an awful job. I'm great at visions. I'm great at making money and setting people up, but awful at being accountable for it. And so I just have a guy right now. He's going through everything. He's going to start doing like a monthly, almost an outsourced kind of CEO thing.
Nice.
CFO, because I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's value in that, in that partner that you had.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, not that she always kept up with it well.
Yeah.
I will say that. So, you know, my plan is to keep up with it better than she did.
Yeah, make it better.
Because I am having to, you know, backtrack and, you know, whatever. But I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I hear you. 100%. So, and your sister, real quick, is she right-brained as well out there in Colorado?
Nope, she's a lefty.
Okay,
Yep.
interesting.
Yep.
Because that's an interesting youth hostels, or not youth, just hostels in Colorado is interesting.
Yeah.
That's you see that in Europe and Germany. I never hear about as much in the States.
Yeah, they it was kind of funny the way they came across it. They had a house in North Carolina with a rental property.
Okay.
Very smart people. They think about just future plans all the time. They're always thinking about.
I know the type. I'm not one. But
I was thinking about like, how can we make money, but, you know, keep it simple for ourselves and not be working constantly 24/7. So they had this rental property in the house. They renovated everything in North Carolina, bought a 1976 motorhome, took off around
I love these guys.
took off just traveling around and just kind of stopping at farms, doing odd jobs here and there. They worked at, you know, big parks where Thomas would be doing, you know, helping with fence work or whatever. And Michelle would be working in the office at the park or whatever, odd jobs. Well, they ended up finding this place, Paonia, Colorado, that they fell in love with, this little town, little hippie town. And there was this giant, you know, house for sale. It needed some work. And they just decided, okay, well, we're ready to sell our motorhome now and we'll plant here. And they still have the residual income from the properties in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And they're, you know, kind of renovating, turning this huge house into this hostel and a little
and they could live in the
destination.
motorhome while they're doing that. Or
Right.
maybe they
There's
don't
an
need to.
apartment.
Oh, there's an apartment.
There's a little
Okay,
apartment on
wow.
the back of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they are smart.
Yeah. And my sister works at a bank out there right now. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it sounds like fun people.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty cool.
Okay, so you leave Indiana, you go to New York, and at this point, you're 100% into theater.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so that's where we
All
are.
in.
Okay,
Yep.
so we're in New York, and you're getting a quick learning curve on how not nice people from New York can sometimes be.
Yeah.
There are some really nice ones, but you know how it goes.
Yeah.
I grew up in that area, I can say that. Tell me about that. So, tell me more about New York.
Okay. So I first moved to New York.
You're working a job you don't like.
Well, when I first got there, actually, I booked a national tour right away when I first moved up. So I was gone. I sublet my apartment for like a year. I was gone on this tour. It was
Awesome.
amazing. And so I was
What was
like,
it?
New York is great. It's a Stephen Schwartz musical called Captain Louis.
Okay, I don't know it, but I'm
And
sure
I played
people do.
Louis,
Oh, wow.
a 12-year-old boy.
Awesome.
My hair's starting to grow out, but I've had a pixie for a long time.
Oh, that's
it's
funny.
just long now because of quarantining.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played a 12-year-old boy when I first moved up, did the whole tour thing. And I thought, well, this is great. I booked a job right out of the gate. Like, here
Got
we
it,
go.
yeah.
I'm in. And then I get back from the tour and I'm like, oh man, now what? So then I'm like auditioning and I'm like, well, I guess I got to get a job. So then I get a job at a place that it was fine. It was fine. It was kind of a temp job. But as time went on, they wanted me to be there permanently.
Gotcha.
They wanted me to be an assistant property manager at one point. And I was like, no, that's not my dream. That's not my passion. That's not what I
Yeah.
want to do. That's
Right.
not who I am. And they're like, you're so good at it. And I'm like, I think because I have the personality type that when I'm doing something, I give it my all.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, I am all in. Heart, soul, everything in it. But I didn't necessarily like it.
Yeah.
So, I was still kind of auditioning, but getting lost in that working environment that was bringing home a paycheck.
Right.
And my health kind of started to suffer because I wasn't taking good care of myself. I was really, bogged down mentally and emotionally because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And the audition process with being rejected constantly is really, really hard.
Yeah.
It's just a hard life.
Yeah. it
And,
is.
I was living in a 6th-floor walk-up, so even getting groceries was really daunting. And so I decided for myself, like, I need to make a change. I need to take care of myself. What can I do to take care of myself? So I started changing, little things like my nutrition. I started researching about health and wellness and, holistic eating and organic foods. And, all of this stuff was just kind of really starting to be a thing
Right.
at that time, especially in New York. And it hadn't really trickled down,
Sure.
all the way down here yet. So I ended up going back to school because I found this real passion for health and wellness. And I was like, well, I want to help other people feel this good. So I got my certification for to be a holistic health and nutrition counselor and kind of started on the path of owning my own business, but it was just sort of one-on-one.
And this was still in New York?
This was in New York.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so at this point, you're kind of shifting, and are you still, it sounds like this is becoming more of your world and the theater less.
Yeah.
Are you still active in the theater? Or you
I
just,
still was.
Okay.
I was still auditioning, but this was, I had found a second passion.
Yeah, for sure.
And auditioning was so hard and didn't feel like my passion. When I'm in a show, that feels like passion,
yeah,
right?
I understand.
But like trying to get there and feeling the heartache and beating myself up every time I would go in and be rejected and whatever, it was just not really feeding me at that time. So this other passion sort of, took over a little bit,
Yeah.
and I felt alive again. And I felt like, wow, this is something I really do love. I'm really passionate about it. So I started doing that. And then it wasn't until, I had a huge realization when my husband got the opportunity with his job to move down to Florida, that, that was a tough decision for me because I had to say, okay, I'm not really doing much theater here right now. I've kind of backed off of that and I'm working on this other thing that I'm also passionate about. But making the choice to leave New York was really hard because it was almost like a mourning process.
This is the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm making a choice to give up something that or not give up, but just change the trajectory that I had in my head since a kid. All of a sudden it was like, oh man, this is different. This is not something that I ever thought was going to happen. But it was like, well, I mean, are you ready to leave the city? Are you ready to leave the city? Yep. Let's go. Let's go.
So you mentioned your husband. You guys met in New York?
No, we actually met in high school.
Oh, wow. So he's an Indiana boy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then.
So we were high school sweethearts.
Okay. That's awesome.
And then we broke up through college, dated other people, did our thing, went to colleges in separate states.
Okay.
And then when I moved to New York, like we would still talk sometimes and whatever and see each other when we were still in town. But when I moved to New York, he came and saw my show when the tour went through Queens.
Okay.
And he came up because he wanted to visit New York. And while he was there, he was like, so I'm going to move to New York. And I was like, no. I said, no, that's a lot of pressure on me. And then he was like, okay, fine, I won't. And then he left, would go back home. And then like 3 days later, I cried for like 3 days thinking I made the wrong decision. decision. And my roommates were like, you need to call him and tell him that he can move up here.
Oh, that's funny.
So I did, yeah.
That's funny. And so at that time, what did he have to, was he already wrapped up in a career in Indiana? And so he left it. He left it, came to New York and started over? And
started looking for a job. And I told him, and this was right when the recession hit, when he moved to New York.
Okay.
In 2007, 2008, when the recession hit, and he couldn't find a job.
Wow.
So that was a crazy time too, because I had just gotten my own apartment because of my job that I hated.
Yeah.
Got my own place, and I was like, okay, look, you can move to New York. You can stay with me until you find a job. But then you got to get your own place.
I love it.
I was like, because this is my apartment.
That's awesome, man.
But then he couldn't find a job, so he didn't get his own place.
Oh, that's funny.
And we were in this tiny studio apartment. And then when he finally got a job, it was, 6 or 8 months later, when he finally got a job. And then he was like, so I was going to start looking for an apartment. And I was like, the lease is almost up. Why don't we just find a bigger one together?
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, and then you said he got an opportunity in Florida, which brings us to how you got here.
Yeah.
What was his opportunity?
So the company eventually that he was working for in New York was actually based out of Palm Coast, Florida.
Oh, cool.
So, but it's an outsourcing sales company. So they had a big office in New York. It was one of their main offices where Danny was working. And so they gave him the opportunity to, I think they were offering him a raise or a new position. I don't remember, but they gave him the opportunity to come and be in the office here in Palm Coast. So we moved to Palm Coast.
That's awesome. Okay. So his name's Danny.
Yep.
Okay. So you guys come down and you are loving the wellness. You're kind of, like you said, you're having to mourn this, not that you give up theater, because I know you're doing a lot now, but just, I just, that vision that you had since a kid of this is what I'm going to do in my life. Yeah. And you kind of leave that in New York and you come down here. What's in your brain? What are you looking to do? Just get a job? Or is this where you're like, hey, now's my chance to do the wellness?
Yep, that's what it was.
Okay.
It was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this down here. So I sought out wellness centers in Florida around. There was one in Daytona called Daytona Yoga and Wellness Center. And the woman who owned it, Krista, was awesome. I went down and met her. And I started doing workshops there and seeing clients there. And then I had some private clients from, in Palm Coast from workshops that I had done there. And but it wasn't super sustainable.
Okay.
It was like I wasn't quite making enough money for us to sustain.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We were doing okay, but it was like I could be doing more.
And when you say workshops, tell me a little bit about what you were doing.
Yeah, so I was doing kind of different types of health and wellness workshops. Okay. So intro to holistic nutrition, or
Gotcha.
and then, you know, working from there, kind of working one-on-one with people, or talking to people about, and given this was a time too before people in Florida down here were really understanding organic foods and, you know, health and wellness and you know, superfoods and on all of that. So there were a lot of topics that I would do workshops on.
The people, because like you said, down it just takes longer for information to get down
to
this
trickle
way.
Down, right?
So at this time, you were teaching superfoods and all these groups of people, and some of them were hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
to be able to bring that information that's so important to somebody's life.
Yeah, it was huge for me. I loved doing that, and it was kind of like a support group as well. I would do like series where, you know, they would kind of learn every other week. We would talk about a new topic or whatever, and then we would all support one another through that kind of wellness journey and, you know, kind of taking control of their health.
Wow. So you start doing the workshops, you start growing some clientele, not quite enough to be sustainable.
Right.
And then what?
So then I decided that I wanted to also be working at a place like a wellness center, right? To have sort of more of a consistent income.
Okay, sure.
Along with being in a place where I could do those workshops and work one-on-one with people and do that as well, but not be so dependent on those one-on-one clients.
Yeah.
Because that, you know, that can be stressful too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, trying to find clients and whatever. And I didn't want it to be about that. I wanted it, you know, I didn't like to feel like, oh, you know, please let me help you. Please work with me. Like, let me show you why this is of value. I would rather just offer the education and then say, you know, how can I support you?
Okay.
You know, and it'd be less about the money.
Revenue and sales and pushing product. Yeah.
Right.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. And as a customer, that's a better experience too. Because,
absolutely.
I mean, I got to, and everyone does it. I know why they do it. I'm not beating anyone up, but it's sometimes when you go in as a customer and, you know, go get your hair done and 50 products are being sold to you at the end. Sometimes it's like, I kind of feel like I don't know. It gives you a different feeling.
Yeah.
Than versus like coming in, have a good haircut, good chat, and then leaving.
Right.
So
absolutely.
anyway, that's what I imagine. This is kind of what it was like. You didn't want to put pressure or put that energy off on people. You just wanted to teach.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why too, all of my staff here, when I hire somebody new, I make it very clear to them that there are no sales quotas. They're, you know, they get commission on products that they recommend, but every single product that I sell here is going to be helpful for people in some way. It's not just product to be selling product. It's product that I believe in or that my staff believes in. And it's less about, I tell them it's not really about making a sale. It's about helping that person. If and only if that you come out of the treatment room with somebody and you feel like this thing would really benefit you. My opinion is that this would really, really, really help you. Then tell them that.
I love it.
Because that's good for them to know.
Yeah.
But we're not trying to bombard them with, you know, buy this, buy that.
Which I think is important, especially at a place like this, because you want to feel safe.
Yeah.
And you want to feel like when I come here, this is my retreat from outside the doors.
Exactly. Yeah. It's more about the education and offering suggestions to help them. Yeah.
That makes sense. And I love that way to look at it. So the job that you wanted to get, was that at the spa or at the center in St. Augustine? Gotcha. With your partner.
Allison, yeah.
Allison. Okay.
Yeah.
So she hired you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she hired me, yeah. So she owned it. It was a smaller space. There was a yoga studio, and there were, I think, 2, maybe 3 treatment rooms. So it's pretty small. And we immediately clicked when she interviewed me, and I, of course, was telling her about the holistic health and all of that I was really interested in offering as well. So she hired me on as her manager, and we immediately really I helped her grow her business, and I was her manager, but from day one, it really felt more like a partnership.
To you.
To me, yeah. Because, and to her too. I mean, she she rarely would make a decision, you know, like we expanded and took over another part of this, you know, strip space that we were in.
Okay.
But she never made a decision without chatting with me. You know, it felt like this partnership where she was like, "Hey, what do you think about this? Let's sit down and look at this and talk it through." And so I, you know, out of the gate felt like a part of it.
That's an amazing way to feel, especially as an employee.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And she told me later too that she had a feeling right away that we were going to be partners down the line.
That's cool. That's
that
awesome.
She felt that too. And I think I was the one who actually brought it up.
Oh, yeah.
When we were trying to acquire an acupuncture business that was kind of a couple doors down.
Okay.
And I'm the one that brought it up, and I didn't really say it outright, like, what would you think about me buying in and, you know, being a part of the company? But I said, you know, I have some thoughts. My wheels are turning. And she was like, keep them turning.
She already knew what that meant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She knew. She was like, keep them turning. And I was like, okay, here we go. So, and she was just waiting for me to, I think, bring it up.
Interesting. And how long had you been there before like this time started talking about a partnership?
A year and a half, maybe?
Okay.
A year?
And so, and St. Augustine is such a cool town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the coolest towns in the U.S.
Yeah.
for sure. Like
Yeah.
that would be a fun place to do that, especially that type of work.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you love that?
I did. I really did. It was, you know, it was everything.
Yeah.
It was my baby before I had a baby, you know, before I had my son. I mean, that was, it was everything. And I cared so much for all of our employees, our staff, and we, you know, grew it into a larger location, and we did that together, and we all just grew as humans too with
Sure.
that expansion of the
Yeah.
business. And having to close it was really, really, really heartbreaking.
That was last year, or just recently?
Yeah. Yeah.
Real quick, did you end up buying the acupuncture? Did you guys acquire them?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We did. Yeah. So then we kind of our business used to be called City Yoga.
Yeah.
But then, you know, part of my dream was to make it more of a wellness center where it encompasses a lot more, right? So then we added on the acupuncture. Allison was a doctor of physical therapy, so she was doing PT sometimes. Wow. We hired another PT. We were really expanding into an entire wellness center.
That's awesome.
But when COVID happened, the space was so large that
the overhead and all of it
came
crashing down.
Being closed for 3 months was just, and we already had debt, you know, from just moving into a new place expanding and expanding to this location too. So this business had debt itself, and just being closed for 3 months, and our landlord wasn't super helpful. Yeah. I don't think he was as helpful as he could have been. And so it was really, really sad. It was really sad.
And so you had to make a decision. Okay, so you had the two I don't want to call them stores. The two locations were up and running.
Yeah.
And the flagship was the St. Augustine. I mean, that was kind of everything.
Yeah.
Then you brought the vision to Deland, and now, you know, obviously closed for 3 months on top of last year's just a disaster for everyone. How did the decision come to be you by yourself, Deland, and leave St. Augustine and the partner split off?
Yeah. It was a really hard decision, honestly, because the St. Augustine location was established. Okay. You know, it was established. This one, we were what, a year in?
It's a little bit of a risk because you didn't know.
A huge
risk.
Okay, yeah. But I live here in Deland.
Okay.
When Allison moved, prior to COVID, when she moved to Kansas City, Missouri, I did feel like both businesses were kind of on my shoulders. She had checked out a little bit.
Sure.
And even prior to moving, she had checked out a little bit.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. And, I get it. She had a kid. She's pregnant with her second kid. But it was really hard on me because I felt like I was holding a lot of the stress. And so the decision, it wasn't much of a decision just because of that place. The overhead was
so big. It was such a big thing. Yeah.
It was so big. And so that in itself made the decision. It was like, there's no way that I can.
It wasn't a hard decision then. It was very clear what to do.
It was hard in that it was emotional.
Yes. Yeah. I don't mean not hard.
It was
making the decision. It was very clear. It's got to be that one. I'm going to focus here in Deland.
Yeah.
You said you had a son. When did you have him? Was it around this time or after?
So I had him a few days before we signed the partnership paperwork.
Okay.
So in 2015, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like a few weeks before.
Because that usually makes things easier, throwing a little bit of newborn into the mix.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I was like, well, we would joke and say, I was having a real baby at the same time I was having a business baby.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah. I
was looking at paperwork while I was like, sitting in bed with him and feeding him, and yeah.
You're right. Just bring it on.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you were kind of getting stressed out again. Was this similar to what you were feeling up in New York when you had to pay the bills? And because originally when you had that, it was wellness that kind of reset you and put you on a new path. So how did that fit into this? Were you the owner of a wellness company but having a hard time taking care of yourself, or were you able to apply in the thick of it?
That's a great question. No, it was very much the same.
Okay.
The stress was taking over. And yeah, no, I wasn't taking care of myself.
Gotcha.
And the funny thing is, I realized that once I came to terms with closing St. Augustine, I really realized that. And from my singing background and being so into music and theater, I've always been into this modality called sound healing. Mm-hmm. And once I kind of hit that realization that I'm not taking care of myself and I've been really stressed out, and now I'm realizing how awful I felt, because it's almost a relief now that that's gone. And I hate to say that because it's heartbreaking for me to even say that aloud, but it's the truth.
Yeah, for sure.
On a very personal level. And once I kind of came to terms with that, I signed myself up for a sound healing training.
Wow.
To take care of myself and to reinsert myself in a wellness way back into my business. And so I've been holding these free donation-based sound healing workshops. And, when I do them, it's to give to people. So I, do it donation-based, but it's also for me.
Yeah.
And to help heal myself.
Yeah.
And also to, reinsert my own passion back into being a business owner.
And I think you have to do that throughout life. It's like as soon as you get something figured out, I guess it's like being a parent. As soon as you I got this, something crazy happens and that kid just totally changes.
Yeah.
And business is the same way. And I find that the reason I ask that question, because I can see that in myself. It's so easy to go back to those old stresses, and not do the self-care that we know we're supposed to do. Yeah. What would you say to entrepreneurs out there who are struggling in the moment with that exact problem? They are so busy, so taxed, so overwhelmed, and they're not able to get the self-care that they need, but they can't pull away.
You have to have a strong support system and either a partner or really good friends who know you so well to tell you, you need to take a day. I have my husband, Danny, who's there for me as, that rock. And I also have a group of best friends who know me so well that they can look at me and say, you need to take a day.
Yeah.
You need to do something for you. When was the last time you did something for you? And having that support system, because oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we're just like this hamster on the wheel, and we don't even realize that we need a day because we just feel like, well, I don't have time.
Yeah,
I don't have time
I'm
to take a
good.
day.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'll get through it. But then you get to that point where the worst is when every week you're saying, okay, I just have to get through this week. This week's going to be really hard. I just have to get through this week. And then something else happens, and then you're like, okay, I just have to get through this, and then it'll be okay.
Yeah.
And 2020 was that for so many people, especially business owners. And it was like, okay, I just have to get through this. Now I just have to get through this. And it's not over. Like, it's still carrying over. It's still happening. I still feel that way. But I don't know. I guess the advice that I would give to other entrepreneurs is surround yourself with other people who can recognize you for who you are and what you really need, and listen to them.
And listen to them.
Listen to them because it's all coming from love.
Oh, man.
You know, it's all coming from love, but you got to be open to listening.
And I love that you had to listen to them, because my wife is just exactly what you're saying, and she has been telling me things for 15 years, and I have not listened very. Like, we just had this conversation. It literally took 2020 almost destroying me to finally realize that I'm always thinking, oh, I need a partner. I need this, because I do everything by myself, and I'm like, I have the perfect partner who gets it, who knows it, and who's told me so many things what I need, and I don't listen. So my one goal for 2021 is any business decisions that matter, I'm going to actually listen.
Yeah.
To my wife. So sadly enough, it took me 15 years to realize that. So anyway, I don't know what the heck.
Always learning. Always growing.
Always learning, I guess, and the answer's right in front of us. So, what have been some of the things? In not just 2020, but in the last, you've been doing business for how long? I mean, you started, was it 2013 back there? Or
yeah, 12 was when I think Allison started that company.
Okay.
That's when I started working there. I believe it was 2012.
Okay.
But I was already doing, since 2009.
Okay.
Was doing.
So you have a decade of good experience. What's been, besides kind of things we've talked about, what have been some of the things when just the hardest moment, like just, scratch that. We're going to edit that out. I don't want to go there. Let's go here. So with the last decade of experience, what's a piece of advice that you would give to your son when he got older and says, Mom, I want to be an entrepreneur? What would you say?
Wow. I mean, I would say go for it. Follow your heart. Follow your dreams. Because ultimately, like that, I'm going to cry. But ultimately, that's what it's all about, right? That's what life is. I mean, follow your happiness. There are so many moments in life that we can feel bogged down or we can feel unhappy. And the job that we do is the majority of our lives. We're doing these jobs, this work, day in and day out. You might as well do something that makes you happy. Right?
Yeah.
Because without happiness, what do we have?
Right.
And for my son, Lachlan is his name.
That's a cool name.
Thanks.
Lachlan?
Lachlan.
I've never heard that.
So for him, I mean, there will always be struggles.
Yeah.
There will always, that's life. There will always be things that hurt. But to always be pushing forward toward happiness.
It kind of reminds me of, I interviewed a friend named Tangi. She teaches mindfulness. That's her company. Mm-hmm. And I struggle with that because that's like you're saying, there's so many, we talked about a little bit before we started on the air, is, being an entrepreneur, a business owner, whatever you want to call it, there's so many ups and downs, and there's a lot of downs. Mm-hmm. And it is easy though to get so wrapped up in it that I am missing the happiness and the exciting part.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we get so caught up in, we could be here, I could be doing this, but you're missing out on these day-to-day conversations or, people come into this place and they leave with a smile. Like, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and sometimes it's easy to miss that, and that's where I think the happiness can come from.
That's exactly where my happiness comes from. Doing this work, because it is so wellness-based, and it is, people walk in here feeling one way, and they float out with a smile, feeling different. And that, for me, is why I do this. I mean, it's hard to be an entrepreneur, sure, but to be able to help other people find their happy or find their self-care, self-love, or whatever it was that they needed that day that they walked through this door, that's everything, And when you talk about the, collective consciousness and, people just being happier and spreading joy to one another. If I can have a brick and mortar place where somebody can walk in and they can feel safe and well and whole and good, and they walk out and they smile at somebody who's having a bad day, that person feels better. Then maybe that person pays for the coffee behind them in the Starbucks line, or, and that's how joy spreads, especially during hard times, collective hard times, but also personal hard times,
I like the conversation on joy. In the end, that's what we're all seeking is happiness, joy, peace.
Yeah.
And yet we are, like you said, collectively, it doesn't feel that way too much.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy out there right now.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think that the services that you offer, I mean, I like what you just said, someone leaves here feeling great, they give a smile, and it changes someone, there's this ripple effect in happiness and spreading that joy, and that's so true in everything we do. What can we do to, and this is so funny, we're going to solve a world problem. What can we do to change things that are going on now? How can we, I don't know, do you ever think about what we can do what can we do to make a difference? What can you do?
I mean, for me personally, I think what I can do is offer that safe place and security to people, but not just clients who are coming here, but also people who work here.
Yeah.
For my staff to not only have, a job,
right,
but also one that makes them feel good. They come here and they feel safe and good, and then they're able to ripple that out to the people that they're taking care of. And then those people who, that person who's taking care of their mother at home who's been quarantining for a year, then that can ripple out to that person. I think it really, especially right now, does come down to what you said, it's that ripple effect. And if we can all work toward finding our own inner peace through the turmoil and allowing that light to shine out. Because, it's felt like lights are dimming.
Yeah, it's felt dark. It's felt heavy and dark.
It's felt really heavy and dark. But we have to do things for ourselves, our own self-care.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
so it goes back to our own self-care so that we can let that light shine.
Yeah.
So that can ripple out to other people.
Gotcha.
So that they can then, help others in their path.
I like that. So definitely looking inward and, like you said, taking the time to make yourself whole so that you can have more, a brighter light, as you put it. You can have more impact and more positivity and energy out on the world.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that. Let me ask you this. With the place here, with your, I keep saying the place here. I'll fix that. Let me ask you this. What do you have going on here? We didn't talk too much about this location. We didn't talk about what kind of rooms, what services do you have? Tell them a little about that.
Okay. Yeah, so we have yoga classes pretty much every day, multiple times a day. I have awesome instructors, and we offer a lot of like gentle yoga, mindfulness yoga. So it's not just about coming in here to sweat.
Yeah.
Like a gym, right? It's different. It's more that inward work with the yoga. I mean, ultimately that's what yoga is more of the inward work. So we do have a lot of gentle classes for and people who are older to come and be able to, feel like they can walk into a yoga class without feeling out of place. So we do that. We have massage therapy, which is so important. But with the massage therapy, one thing that we do here that kind of sets us apart from other spas is I have my own brand of organic essential oils. And at a lot of spas, the massage therapist will use essential oils, whatever. Usually at a spa, it's an upcharge. If you want aromatherapy with your treatment, you pay an extra, blah, blah, blah. If you want hot stones, you pay an extra, whatever.
Right.
So when we opened this location, we decided we want it to all be included. We want that people to come in, have the maximum benefit without feeling like they're being sold to the whole time they're here, right? So they come in for one of our signature massages. The massage therapist goes over to our blending bar, creates a custom blend specially for them depending on what they've got going on that day. So immediately they're connecting with that client and giving them something customized for them, what they need right now. They blend it up. They use it in the treatment room. They utilize warm salt stones to really relax the nervous system. They use hot towels, all the good stuff, a rose quartz eye mask, really to help people feel just really taken care of.
Yeah.
And then at the end, that oil that was blended specially for them, so the therapist uses about half of it in the treatment room, and then they take the rest home.
That's
it's
awesome.
Their gift.
That is really great.
So instead of selling them something, we're saying, here you go.
And
Use this when you get home.
And it's been made for you based on our conversation. That's
exactly
really cool.
Yeah.
What do you call that?
It's our blending bar.
Blending bar?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw that. Yeah, I saw the blending bar online. I didn't know. That's a lot cooler than what I thought just by seeing the pictures.
Yeah.
That's why we tell the story.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really neat.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys put everything into that. You just want to have a great experience here. And that's really your goal. And you don't want anyone to feel pressured or all that stuff. Okay.
Just want them to feel taken care of.
That's
just
awesome.
truly, truly taken care of. Okay. And we do facials here too. And, all our products that we use are non-toxic. So, it's really just about the overall wellness of a person and just helping them feel truly, truly cared for so that they can come to one place. They can do yoga, they can do meditation, they can come and get a sound healing workshop for free. They come for a massage or facial and they get a gift to take home afterward.
Yeah, that's cool.
They can come here to feel whole.
Awesome. Anything else that you guys do here that we didn't cover yet? We kind of got it all right.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got it all. Other than the blending bar too, we do. So not only are we customizing for people that are coming in for treatments, but we also do that customization for retail, for gifts.
Oh, cool.
So that someone can come in and say, hey, my friend's been really stressed out. What can we do? And we'll say, okay, well, what about, what if we do a body butter and we do a really special stress relief blend for that person, or scrub, do they take a lot of baths? And, we try to customize for people in that way too.
That's awesome. So that's a great gift idea too, especially for a husband, because I'm always trying to find things for my wife. It's not easy, right?
Right.
Guys, for some reason it's easy. For me, she can go to any guitar store, anyway, but I could be coming here and getting something that, here's what she's got going on. Can you blend something custom for her? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool gift idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you feel successful? What is success to you? And do you feel like you're there?
I do feel successful. I don't feel financially successful at all. I'll be completely honest with you.
I love it.
I just don't at all.
I know it.
Not even.
I know it. Yeah. No, you.
But I don't measure success by that.
What do you measure?
Honestly, it's the people who come here and my staff. Success for me is it's one person at a time, feeling better. Walking away, saying, oh my gosh, I feel so much better now. And that to me is, we did it.
Yeah.
That's great. We did it. We helped that person today. We did it. That is a huge win. That's success. That is success.
I'm just thinking about how powerful that is, what you just said. I've never had that thought. In my business, we visit people's homes, thousands of people each month. And this thought that you said, if that one person, you look at it one by one, individually is what you said.
Yeah.
So if they have a good experience, then that's success.
a win.
Interesting.
It's
That's really
one win at a
powerful.
time. And it feels really good because I don't need this overall vision of success in a financial sense or a growth sense. The way that I see success has definitely changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Same
Especially
here.
after this last year. I mean, it has evolved. But I really take pride in the little wins, and those all feel like successes. And so then my overall picture feels very successful.
I love that. That's really powerful. I think that's the thing a lot of people struggle with is feeling successful.
Yeah.
Like, especially when they are. Because like you said, how are you measuring it? Mm-hmm. I think that's really awesome. I love the idea is if it's a one-on-one thing, because that means you're giving so much attention to your customer that if every business looked at success as that way, we'd have a lot of happy people out there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you see in the future? What do you hope to, so you have, I'm going for it and I'm close. I know it's 2 syllables. I'm about to say Loveland, but I'm wrong.
Lachlan.
Okay. So you have Lachlan. What does your future look like? Are you wanting to have more kids? Are you wanting to open up again? Do you have a dream to open up another location or expand this location? What do you hope to see?
Right now, I'm laying low. I'm laying low right now. I want my short-term goals are to make this place as successful as possible, to really reach out to the community and help as many people as we can.
Love it.
And especially after this year that we've all had together, or not together, really.
That we have all had alone together.
Alone
together.
together.
Gotcha.
I really, it's my goal this year and probably the next year to really help people feel better after this struggle that we've all been through. It's like PTSD in some ways where, there's just been a lot of trauma for a lot of people. And I want to be there for it. I want to be there on the other side of the tunnel. I want to be the light at the end of the tunnel for people to come and feel better. That's now. I hesitate, my brain sometimes does go to expanding again and doing that. But I'm hesitant to really let myself go there yet as a goal, just because it's been so hard, having the 2 and having to close 1. I'm not over it yet. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to think about it.
Which is wise that you're able to say that.
And I may
do
not,
that.
I may just stick with this one
Yeah.
and just make it like the most positive, wonderful place for our little community and for the people that come and visit, and let it be that, and have an amazing staff who has secure jobs, and let it be that. And that would be okay too.
I love it.
I'm not really in the market for thinking about expanse right now.
I wish I could find out how to do that. Now, honestly, if you had that answer, I would be very happy, because I need to slow the brain down a little bit and not worry about expanse, and this whole, I need to do just what you said. Like,
That
just
was me too.
take what I have and just make it a great experience and enjoy it.
Yeah. It's hard as an entrepreneur to not go there.
It's really hard. I almost can't do it.
Right. I think the only reason that I can't, we were launching our product line at the same time we were moving into our larger location. And then shortly after opening up we were constantly just, what else?
Yeah.
Forward. And, from having to close 1, and from everything that I've learned during this time, just having to be creative as a business owner, there is so much value right now because of everything that has happened on community and small business. I have connected with these other merchants downtown. We all talk about how, how's everything going for you? How's it going for you? Like, we're all sharing our stuff on social media. And the bigger you get, even for me with the 2 locations, it's harder to really root yourself in the community.
Yeah.
And this type of work that I'm doing in the community, I'm learning for the first time how important it is to really be rooted in the community.
Wow.
So, I mean, and that's kind of taken quite a journey, because I was all about, growing, expanding, help more people, blah, 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 blah. But now I've kind of changed my tune a little bit. And it's more about, just really rooting in the community and being here for.
And I think a lot of people are experiencing that as well, right? Like, that's where else can we go? I mean, I guess because we're forced now, we need our communities desperately now.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's struggling. So the best way to move forward is to unify with the community.
Yeah.
And share whatever it is, resources, stories, information, that kind of thing. And from what I understand, what I've learned from just my interviews here in this town, there's an awesome community here and big support group, and it's getting better.
Oh, it's amazing. There were some merchants who had a better November and December as far as sales. And we're talking mostly retail sales. A better November, December in 2020 than they had the year prior. And that is because this community is so passionate about supporting local. They don't want to see big chains, bowling over these tiny companies. They came out. They came out for Black Friday. They came out to buy their Christmas gifts locally.
Wow.
It was huge. It was huge, and it was emotional to watch those sales happening and just feel like, man, these people could be buying this item online. There are a lot of things that are sold in stores that you can now get online now, even at these small little retail shops. But no, people came out and bought them from these merchants.
What does that mean to you? You said it was emotional. What does it mean to you when the community supports you?
It's inspiring, and it's hopeful. It feels like when all of this happened with COVID and everything, and all the business owners were like, "Oh, I got to get really creative. I got to get online. I gotta." Then we all started thinking about, well, if I'm online, nobody's leaving their home. If I'm selling stuff online too, then really, what sets me apart from all of these companies that are e-commerce?
Yeah.
What sets me? Why would they want to buy from my little online store? And that felt really daunting. Like, well, what's the point? But it was really, really emotional and inspiring and really hopeful to see that there are people in this community that it does matter to them. It does matter. And even though we were selling online, when, everyone was completely quarantined at home, our businesses were closed, we were pushing social media, and people were placing orders online for our small businesses so that we could stay in business. Wow. And all of us merchants were, coming in the space, gathering up our orders. And, I was hand delivering to people's porches the bags of the things that they had purchased. So and I was awesome. Doing that up in, I would take a day. I would be here gathering up stuff, and I would do, drop-offs. And then I would head up to St. Augustine, before I knew that we were going to have to close that location. I would head up there, and I would pack up orders for St. Augustine. And, there were days that I would be up there on a Friday night until 1 o'clock in the morning making porch deliveries. Wow. Because I wanted people to have their stuff that they bought. But it was like, I can't eat the cost of shipping.
Right.
So I would just drive up there and do it. Wow. And it was a huge hustle, but it was also, it felt okay. Yeah. Because they care. They care. They care. Yeah.
And that's an important message. So all you guys out there that are running companies, people care, and I would say exactly what she's saying is just reach out and be part of the community, because we tend to go at things alone for some dumb reason when we've got our families, our community who will walk it with us.
Absolutely.
So what would you want to say to the community here? Because I intend to get them all to listen eventually. So
yeah.
What do you want to say? What would you want to say?
Thank you for the support. But not only the support of the dollars, but also the support emotionally that came along with that. That was them saying, not only are we giving you our dollars, but we want you here. We like you as a person, you know.
Yeah.
And that was
That
huge,
sometimes can mean more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had one client comes to mind in particular that, when we had to close down, and she was coming for yoga classes, and she had a yoga membership. And a lot of people, stopped their membership. We stopped their memberships because we were closed.
Right.
And then we tried to start offering classes online, and we did like outdoor classes in my backyard for a little bit, just trying to figure it out. And I will never forget this woman, Pam. She said to me, I'm not going to cancel my membership. I don't care how long you're closed. I don't care how long it takes. I want to support you, and I will support you. She was like, I still have my job. I want you to have yours too.
Wow.
And she never stopped her membership, and she has been it's still so emotional for me, but she is one that has had to, because of health reasons or whatever, she's had to really quarantine herself this whole time. She hasn't been anywhere, and she's still taking our classes online, and she's still paying her membership every single month. And it's that.
Yeah.
That is like, that is so heartfelt, and it's so important, and a lot of times people don't even realize how huge that is as a business owner,
And I'm glad you brought that up, and I want to add mine to what Chelsea's saying. I mean, I guess I just want to say thank you too. There's so many people, that make up, that keep us going.
Yeah.
Financially, emotionally, and sometimes as a business owner, as entrepreneurs, it's about us, but really it's about you guys. And there's been so many people, even on the show, that just donate and do so many things to support the show. And man, it's pretty awesome. Thank you, everybody out there. It's pretty wild, and it shows the power of a community. And again, this community is awesome. I love it. Kind of winding down here. I'll ask you my last question. You ready for this one?
Is this one gonna make me cry too?
No, it's gonna make you go, what? Why did you warn me? You're stuck on an island. For real, this is what I'm gonna ask you.
Oh, gosh.
You're stuck on an island, and you
Okay.
get to bring, this is kind of a getting to know you listeners thing. You're stuck on an island, and you get to bring a book, a meal, and an album.
Oh.
And, hang on, I'm trying to throw something that's relevant into what you do. I'll come back to that. Just say book, meal, album. What would you bring?
Oh man, this is gonna take me a second. Okay. Whew.
That's okay. We can cut anything out too if it takes too long, so no worries.
Okay, because this is gonna take me a minute.
That's okay.
I'm trying to think of a book. What book would I bring? Ooh, that's tough though. It's got to be one that I want to read again and again and again.
Yeah, I know that's the part.
That's a tough one. Okay, well, let me skip over that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Meal. I totally know what meal I would bring.
I want to hear that.
You're going to think this is weird. I would bring kale, avocado,
Okay, I'm in.
a lemon,
Okay.
salt and pepper. That's it.
It's okay.
It's one of my favorite things ever, and I could seriously eat it every day.
Is it a smoothie or
No,
it
dude.
just
It's a salad. Just you take your kale, you put your avocado in there, you massage it all in so it's all like squishy.
Huh?
Lemon juice, salt and pepper.
Okay.
That's it. That'd be it.
It sounds like a good snack. No, I'm just kidding. That's actually good. You're the first person to ever use that one, so
Okay.
you get creativity points. That's awesome. How about an album?
An album. Ooh. I would bring, really, anything Ryan Adams.
Oh,
Makes me feel good.
nice.
Yeah.
Which is funny. A lot of his stuff is sad, but it does make you feel good.
No, are you thinking of Brian Adams?
No, I'm thinking Ryan.
Ryan,
Ryan Adams.
Ryan Adams, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen him play.
Yeah.
in Philly,
Yeah. I love it. I like the kind of acoustic chill. Makes me
Indie
feel-
folk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We went to one of his
like it.
shows in Philly, and I think he showed up totally wasted. He had his sunglasses on. He was in a
Yeah.
mood. He was kind of not the happiest guy, but
Huh.
he's married to Taylor Swift, I think.
Is he?
I'm pretty sure. Someone
Oh,
fact check
geez.
that. Fact check that. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
right.
sure. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
Because
okay.
he covered. So Ryan Adams released her 1989. I hope I got that right. Here I am trying to do music on the air. But he covered her entire album. Ryan Adams did.
Oh.
Like Bad Blood, all those songs, and they're great. He did them in like indie folk style. So anyway,
How have I not heard that?
I don't know. It's
All right.
something we talk
Okay.
about. Anyway,
That's
so
cool.
first person Ryan Adams too. So very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for your time. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. You know, I love, just quickly, I just want to point out, I love the conversation we had around community and around joy. I thought that was really just a different conversation, and hopefully it makes people think and get involved. But anyway, this place is awesome. We're going to put links and some pictures to the location here so that you can check it out and you can see her and see what they're doing. Just an awesome company, and glad for now everybody's surviving.
Yeah.
And
Heck yeah.
we'll keep our fingers crossed. Who knows what 2021 is going to bring so far?
It can only get better, though.
Yeah, I hope so. But that's it. So anyway, Chelsea, thank you for your time, and let me
Yeah,
crash.
thank you. This was awesome.
Awesome. All right, guys, thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Company Next Door.